Hey, welcome back to the channel. This is Julia, and today I've got a story time. If you're interested in hearing about my first encounter with God, then stick around. I think you'll enjoy this sweet story. When I was about 4 years old, my mom worked at a bank. Another teller at the bank had introduced her to Jesus, and this was during the Jesus movement. My mom got radically saved, and this woman became her friend. Over time, this girlfriend of hers named Ibis needed a place to stay. She was like in between some leases. She needed a place to stay for like 3 months. My mom invited her to stay with us. I remember adoring Ibis. She was beautiful and smart and sassy, and she always smelled really good. She was so glamorous. I really look forward to watching her get ready for work every day. So I would sit there and watch her put on her makeup and just admire her. I said to her, one day when I grow up, I want to be beautiful, just like you. And she says to me, Julia, you know what makes me beautiful? Is Jesus. I asked him in my heart, and he gives me so much joy and satisfaction. He is my everything. I was kind of confused. I thought she was going to give me like a real beauty tip, so it was a little disappointing, even as a 4-year-old. I didn't understand what she was talking about. She could tell that I didn't understand, and so she tried to explain to me the best that you could for a 4-year-old. Jesus, if you invite him in your heart, he will change your life. I didn't really know what that would look like, but when she asked if I wanted to ask him in my heart, I said yes. I was really excited, and I kind of climbed up next to her in this bed, and I said, Jesus, come into my heart. As soon as I opened my eyes, I just felt something change. I don't know how to describe it. I felt like I could fly, and I felt so much joy. I felt like there was a heavenly presence there. I wanted to tell everybody about Jesus. The crazy part was I just felt light, like I had got unburdened of some great stuff. I was only 4 years old. I don't really know what could have weighed me down as a 4-year-old, but I felt the love of God so strongly. Some of you kind of know about my story. I have never really enjoyed the love of my earthly father. Not going to go into great detail. There really wasn't a deep relational connection. The crazy part was when I had that encounter with God, I knew that I was loved, and not just loved, like adored. And I felt I was God's favorite. And there was something about that encounter was so supernatural, because no matter where I was in my life, and my life over time had gone down some very dark roads, I always knew that God loved me. And that's a gift that he gave me from that very young age. I struggled a lot, but I always knew I had a heavenly father that loved me, even though I never got to feel the love of my earthly father. A lot of people say how we view God is how we were presented love from our earthly father. I can honestly say I've always known that my heavenly father loves me. That gift was imparted to me at 4 years old. I say all of this to also mention I did rededicate my life to the Lord. I was 4. I don't know if a kid can actually come to Jesus at 4 years old. I think what I did was I dedicated my heart to Jesus. I felt his presence all throughout my life. Even as I was dancing, I could feel a connection to God. That love that was imparted to me as a young child stayed with me. This is just my personal opinion. I'm not a theologian. I don't really know what transpired there, but I do know there was something that happened, because I feel like as a child, what I did was invite God into my life. And I gave him permission to cover my life. Part of me believes because I dedicated myself to the Lord, there was some kind of protection over me where the enemy could only go so far. You know, when I got older and I understood what sin was, and I understood the weight of my walking away from God and all that I had done to offend and to hurt God, and I came to a conscious understanding of doors I had opened up, that I had to close those doors and invite God back in as Lord of my life, I rededicated myself. At what point did I really get saved? Was it the first time when I was a child? Was it when I got rededicated to him? What comes to my mind whenever I think about it is, you will know them by their fruit. When I had walked away from God, I had absolutely zero fruit or proof of my salvation. Faith without works is dead. We don't get saved by doing good works. Good works come out of our gratefulness and our thankfulness for him. Since I have come back to the Lord, there are proofs in my life that he is Lord of my life. Whereas when I was dancing, there was not. My faith really came into maturation as I got older and began to understand. As a young child, that seed was planted. I really felt the encounter and the presence of the Lord. And I do believe as a child, I invited him in. By inviting him in, there was a supernatural protection over my life. I say all this to encourage you to pray for your children and pray over your children and talk to your kids about Jesus and share the good news with them. Even if their little brains can't understand the concepts of sin, they do understand on some level there is a God out there. I think it's really crucial in this day and age to give them the opportunity to have an encounter with God. Because I'll tell you something, that encounter with God stayed with me. I really was interested in the things of God. I went to a private Christian school and I went to chapel every day and had church on the weekends and a lot of religious stuff. I remember as a child singing hymns and singing directly from my heart to God. And I remember listening to those messages, wanting to understand God, wanting to know the God that descended in my room that day. I remember even as a child playing with my Barbie dolls, I would feel this presence kind of hover over me, and it was very loving. As a child, I did not feel loved or adored by my earthly father. That gave me a backbone and a confidence that I don't think I would have had if I didn't invite God in my life then. I do think that there is something really powerful that you can do as parents to impart Jesus in your children's lives. That love that I got from him as a child, as I got deeper and deeper into sin, I always circled back around and was looking for that love that I knew I had encountered as a child. It was almost like a GPS device of going back home. I missed him so much and I knew he was real. I had had encounters with him. I kind of talked myself out of it. I thought maybe was a dumb, ignorant child. Maybe it was made up in my head. Deep in my spirit, I missed that love. I missed him. When I walked away from him, there was a coldness and a darkness to my life. That was my choice. And as I started to move back towards God, I began to feel that loving presence, that kindness, that Father's heart towards me again. It's been the greatest gift to come back to God, and the seeds that you plant in your children's lives are powerful. They will not return void. They didn't in my life, and they won't in your children's life. Share Jesus with your children, even if they can't consciously understand all the concepts. You are imparting to them something that they will have for the rest of their life, understanding God is real. He is home. Let them know there is a God that loves them. This is a gift they will carry for their lifetime. Thank you guys for hearing my story. Sorry about being a little emotional there. I hope to chat with you in the comments. And if any of you have had an encounter with the Lord, especially early in life, I would love to hear about that. As a child, did you hear from him? And did you talk yourself out of what you've heard because you thought I was just a kid? We do those things. The Lord speaks to the humble and he says, come to me like a child. There is something beautiful about that innocence. It's important to keep that. I'll talk to you guys in the comments. Have a great rest of your week.